Photographer Annie, 34, was walking on a deserted beach during her vacation in Colombia. She was enjoying the beautiful view and the sound of the sea that nature offered her. As long as the lighting was good, Annie decided to take some pictures of the beach. Just as she was about to take the last picture, a little boy suddenly crossed her path. The boy was crying. He was alone on the beach and there was no sign of his parents. Annie decided to approach him and ask where his parents were and why he was crying. His answer broke her heart. The little boy was looking around everywhere, confused as he walked along the beach all alone when he saw Annie coming towards him. He started crying harder and ran to her as fast as he could and hung on to Annie so hard he almost scared her. "Mommy," the little boy asked through his tears. When Annie looked back at the boy, she noticed that he was emaciated and had a look of exhaustion in his eyes. "What was going on here?" wondered Annie. To better understand the story, it is important to know Annie's past.
Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story.
When Annie used to travel to Colombia during her medical studies to provide development aid, she fell in love with the country. Not only was she in love with its beautiful nature, but she fell deeply in love with its friendly people. They were hard-working people who, despite their harsh existence, always found a reason to smile. The hard life in Colombia was no stranger to Annie either. When she was young, she had gone through difficult obstacles that she would not wish on anyone. When she was very young, her parents were killed in a car crash, so the little girl grew up alone. She moved from foster family to foster family and was never in one place long enough to call it home. But Annie turned that grief into a joy to live with. Never having had a solid foundation, she graduated from high school with honors, after which she went to college and graduated. With her hard work and perseverance, she managed to weather various adversities, but her difficult childhood would have some serious consequences. She'd had such a complicated life that she decided never to have children, because no matter how well she might do in her life, she didn't want any child to go through what she had gone through. Even Annie decided to keep love at a distance. After all, if she had no one left to love, she wouldn't feel the pain of losing someone. The fear of losing someone was a scar on her life. But when she left for her beloved Colombia at the age of 34, this changed immediately. It was a free afternoon. Annie decided to walk along one of the most beautiful beaches in the country. The beauty of its landscape continued to amaze her. She was so impressed by the beauty of the ocean with its calm, glistening waves, and she lost track of time. She walked and walked farther and farther until she was totally alone. The beach where she arrived was located in a completely deserted bay. "I have time for myself here," she thought. But just as Annie sat down with a start, she turned to see who had come to interrupt her peace. In the distance, she could see something small walking back and forth, but when she looked closer, to her surprise, she noticed it was a small boy wandering around. He looked confused and his clothes were dirty with sand and his face looked haggard. Annie looked around for possible parents but couldn't find them. She asked the boy what his name was and where his parents were, but he didn't seem to understand what she was saying. Moreover, he kept repeating the word "mommy." So Annie decided to take the little boy back to civilization where she could take him to a police station and find his parents. When she arrived at the police station, the boy had fallen asleep in her arms. Annie carefully woke him up and told him that the gentle police officer was going to look for his parents. At that moment, the child began to cry so loudly that Annie felt tears welling up in her eyes. This little boy had experienced something terrible, of that she was sure. Suddenly, she remembered her own childhood when she was told what had happened to her parents in the car crash. She was totally inconsolable. No one in the world could help her with that. However, the little boy was slowly becoming comfortable. Annie slowly rocked the boy until he finally calmed down, even convincing him to tell the policeman what was going on. The two followed the policeman, who took them to a quiet room with some toys and told the boy he could play with them. While the boy was playing, the policeman asked him all kinds of questions, and then the horrible truth came out. The boy's name was Matias Garcia, and he lived near the beach with his parents. When the house suddenly caught fire, the little boy ran out of there, totally frightened by the flames. He thought his parents would be behind him, but they never came out. Lost and alone, the boy was wandering the streets where he found a place to eat and drink something. How long ago did this happen? They couldn't find out. Finally, he ended up on the beach where he had met Annie. Apparently, Annie was a lot like his mom, and that's why he had jumped onto her arms. Annie immediately felt an inexplicable bond with this child who looked so vulnerable. However, what she didn't know at the time was that the little boy would change her life forever. Annie met this helpless little boy and immediately felt love overflowing from him. "It was like I had finally felt all the love I had been missing in my whole life," she said with tears in her eyes. Matias had no family members to care for him, so Annie decided to adopt him. She took him to the US where she had spent her childhood. She bought a small but cozy house with a huge garden where Matthias could run and play freely. The two enjoyed every day they spent together, until one day she received an unknown call from Colombia from the police. They had found some things in Matthias's burned house that they thought they maybe wanted a souvenir of his past days, a memory of his mother and father who died in the flames. But they had to pick them up, they had to go to Colombia, and they couldn't just ship the things because they were too difficult. Annie thought this was very strange. What kind of things would be so difficult that they couldn't be shipped? They could go to Colombia. It would be very emotional for little Matthias, but Matthias wanted to go, and it turned out to be a good thing. Annie was not very convinced about going to Colombia with her little boy. She was very afraid that visiting his old home and neighborhood would cause him to suffer again. However, she knew she couldn't take this away from Matthias. He wanted to go and Annie had to accept it. After all, it might also help him to accept his great loss, and by gathering his belongings, she could put an end to this episode in his life. However, when they arrived in Colombia, that was not what happened, because the things they found in the burned house left them completely astonished and confused. First, they saw a black necklace. It was his mother's necklace that she'd always worn. The hospital staff had rescued the necklace from his mother's body so that they could give it to Matthias. Matthias grabbed the necklace and tried to clean it a little with his fingernails, tears immediately flowing from his eyes. "Mom," he said again. This broke Annie's heart in two. She too was struggling not to cry as the police kept showing her the next object. It was a large cube object completely covered in ashes, but Annie recognized it as a safe. The box was very heavy. That's why Annie and Matthias had to travel to Colombia in person. The safe had a key, but they were able to open it thanks to a specialist. It took them quite some time before they were able to open the safe, but after a few minutes they finally heard the click sound. The safe opened little by little with a deafening creak, but they were able to open the safe and see its contents. Would there be money, valuable mementos, or just a waste of time? When the door was fully open, everyone was dumbfounded. Although on the outside the safe was completely burned, the inside was completely safe. Everything withstood the terrible fire. At first, there seemed to be nothing of value inside the safe, full of papers. Annie took the papers out of the safe and carefully went through them one by one. They were mainly mayoral papers, important contracts, and other documents. Annie took an envelope and opened it slowly. It was a letter addressed to Matthias, and as she was trembling, she read the letter. "Dear Matthias," she began. "By the time you read this letter, we will no longer be in this world. We don't know how old you are by the time you're reading this, but we hope it is mature enough. We want to be with you for a lifetime, to watch you grow into an amazing man. We're so proud of you. When you were born, we both knew you would bring all the happiness into our lives. We hope to be the parents you deserve. You are a strong boy and have a lot of willpower, so follow your instinct and you will have a wonderful life. Love, your parents." For a long while, everyone was silent, but suddenly something happened to Annie. Maybe they had written the letter when Matthias had just been born. It must have been in the safe until both parents died and Matthias would inherit it. The parents had no idea that their son would read the letter much sooner than they imagined. The tragic fire forced their little boy to mature on his own much sooner than planned. Matthias listened to Annie as she read the letter but didn't fully understand the message. He was too young, and he would understand as he grew up. His life changed drastically, marked by the events he had experienced during his childhood. With much love and devotion from his foster mother, the boy who once felt lonely and unhappy soon became a cheerful young man with a bright future ahead of him. He achieved top grades in school, had several friends and girlfriends, and participated in various sports. He finished school with honors just like his mother. He gave his adoptive mother as well as his biological parents a reason to be proud of him. But not only was Matthias's life improving, Annie also found happiness again. Thanks to Matthias, Annie learned the meaning of unconditional love.
If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.